All right, so let's get into actually what we're talking about this episode, which is bulking, which me and Alex are both currently doing. So we've got a lot of, firsthand insight because we've both done it before, but also just current insight because we're just going through it and it's very fresh on our minds. So I think this will be a good thing for us to chat and go through. And I think it's a very untapped in
People talk about
thing
weight
that,
loss. People talk about weight loss all the time, but like I
yeah,
feel like weight gain is not as talked about. And like if you want to maximize muscle growth, you gotta put on weight, you know? And so
yeah.
it's just this is one of those topics that it's not as it's just not as talked about because it's just not as common of a goal, you know. I think
Well, and we probably think about why it's not as common of a goal, like in the US, like the amount of people that are overweight and don't need to be putting on more weight.
right.
So I can understand, but there's also there's that on top of the fear that has been instilled in a lot of people of gaining weight and like
Yep.
putting on any type of fat is bad and you won't fit in your clothes or you'll look this way. And like there's the whole societal standards of like being thin. And it's a lot for people just to put on weight if they have the availability to. So it's like with that, it's like 99% of women specifically don't
Yes.
do it. So, and I
Yeah.
think, me and like, I don't know, like people in my life, I don't know a single person who has done a bulk except for me. That's female.
Yeah.
And then like social media, like of the people I follow, like gosh, 3, 4, and
Not
I
many,
follow
not
like,
many women that I personally know. Like you might be the only woman that I know that has. I have a client right now, and she's intentionally bulking. It's so fun. Like, and I tell her that all
yeah,
the time. Like, it's so
it
cool
is
to
fun.
see. Like, she's stringing together pull-ups. She's jacked. I need to show
Yeah.
you. I need to show you a picture of her sometime. She is
I love
so
it.
jacked. She's awesome.
Yeah. And it's probably easier mindset wise for her when you are already like a very built person, like pushing through that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, but like you said, there's just not a lot of women. So let's definitely an important topic for us to chat about. And then, yeah, we'll just kind of go through it. So do
Yeah.
you want to first just give the peeps, what is a bulk? What is a calorie surplus?
Well, I'm going to give you guys an overview of what we're going to be talking about, and then we'll start. So I'm just going to give them like the table of contents, the
Go for
questions
it.
we're going to answer. So first,
I
we're
love
going to
it.
answer what is a bulk. It's a calorie surplus, but we'll talk about that in a minute. We're talking about why we're going to bulk, the ideal rate of weight gain, how long you should look to gain, or how long a bulk should last. What to do if you're not hungry. Are calorie dense foods bad, like unhealthy? They're not, but we'll get to that. How do you know when to stop versus when to buckle down and get comfortable with the extra body fat? We're going to talk about Bree and my struggles with bulking currently and some of our favorite calorie dense foods. And we'll probably end it there, but we'll see if we have anything else that we want to talk about. So
Yeah,
first
and I'm
things
sure
first.
we'll go off on tangents too.
Oh yeah,
So
we
talk
always
about other
do.
things. Yeah.
First things first, what is a bulk? So it is a calorie surplus. If you want to maximize your rate of muscle growth, you almost certainly have to be, I'm not even going to say almost certainly, you have to be in a calorie surplus. Like even if you're taking anabolic steroids, even if you have excess body fat, yeah, I think even
Well,
then,
and the key word there is maximize. I don't want people to not hear
yes,
that word maximize because he's not saying just to build muscle. He's saying to maximize muscle
yes,
growth.
you can absolutely gain muscle if you're in a cut, if you're at maintenance, especially if you are new to training, you're coming back from a break from training, have excess body fat. I might have already said that one. You definitely can gain muscle, but there is a certain point where muscle growth is going to be so slow that you kind of have to go the extra mile in these different ways. You have to optimize your training. You have to optimize your nutrition, your sleep, like your stress, maybe even could have a really big impact on your muscle growth. So, the nutrition is just one easy way to
Yeah.
maximize your muscle growth.
Yeah, definitely. And then our next point was like why a bulk, and it's basically what you said, just to maximize muscle gain. Like if you're someone who's like, I don't want to wait 5 years to put on this muscle, I want to do all that in a year. I'm not saying that's the rate of
Right.
the correct math of 5 years to 1 year, but
Can you imagine if you were able to do? Maybe.
maybe for like some
Maybe.
beginner gains like that. I think I said this in the last podcast. My biggest regret of my journey is that I didn't do a bulk when I started out, especially because like I body weight wise and like health wise, I could afford to put on some body fat then. Oh my gosh, I would just like blown up with muscle. Like it would have been so amazing. So it's like, I don't think that's actually the math. It's probably more of like a 1 to 2
It'd be
ratio.
impossible to say. It'd be impossible to say.
Yeah, that's very true. There's so many scenarios too, and like how hard you're pushing yourself, all of that. Anyways, but it's like if you don't want to wait that time, then it's like if you just want to do it more efficiently. I mean, I was trying to think of analogies this morning because I love analogies and I think it helps people. But it's just like it's like building a home. Like, do you want to have 5 people building you a home or like 50 people building you a home? Like, you're going to get it done so much more efficiently. It's like, if you're cool waiting 5 years to have your house, awesome. Like, have 5 people working on it and building it, and you'll get it in 5 years. Or you could, hire 50 people and build it. Now, I mean, there's the talks of like money and stuff with the house and that analogy and stuff like that. But it's like, I think a lot of people would rather get it done quicker. And it's like, there's a sacrifice that comes with hiring that many people to build that home. But the sacrifice is, the trade-off is, it gets done faster and you get to be in that home quicker. Same thing kind of applies to a bulk, is that you just get the muscle that you're wanting, and dare I say, the body you're desiring, faster by going through this short-term uncomfortable of putting on fat at the same time.
Yeah. And I think it's really important for us to say that, like, a lot of women, especially, not as many men in my experience, a lot of women will fear about going into a bulk and putting on muscle because they don't want to get bulky. Brie, do you want to tell the audience how hard it is to get legitimately bulky?
I'm still trying to get bulky to this day. And I've been in it my journey's been so up and down, but and I've been, pushing for that. I mean, forever in a sense. I mean, I guess not technically, but you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Just so difficult. And I said, this is
more than half a decade.
Oh, yeah, easily. Yeah. I mean, you have to remember, like, the people that you see that are like, let's even talk about the women that you see online that you look at and you're like, I would not want to look like them. Totally understandable. It's fine that everyone has an aesthetic preference. Totally fine. Those women that you're looking at saying like, I don't want to look like her. She has been working towards that specific physique for years. Some on steroids, decades. Some not. Right. The ones that are on steroids, they've probably been working towards that specific body type for like 10 years. They've been training to specifically look like that. They just actually start training and pushing themselves hard and get there. They're like, those women have to be doing bulks. Like, they can't get there without doing a bulk.
Yeah.
And so it's just, you have to be so intentional about looking that way and training that way and getting your food in. And again, do that for years, that you're just not accidentally going to get there if you're not super on your A game about it.
Yeah. nobody slipped on a banana peel, ended up with a needle in their butt, and, turned into Hulk Hogan overnight. Like, yeah, that's not happening. It's exactly. Not happening.
So it is really difficult. And like you said, and I think the other fear too is like, obviously just the body fat. Like, that's what's so hard. And this will kind of tie into like our experiences, but like for me specifically, it's harder to watch myself just not really every day. That's dramatic, but in my brain, every day just get less and less and less and less defined and look less and less and less and less. I'm doing air quotations like I work out, because I'm just putting on body fat at a faster rate than you're putting muscle, which is normal. And so it's like, I have to, and then yesterday, literally had the experience. I got in a pair of jeans and I go, I can't sit down in these pair of jeans. I can stand in them, but if I sit down, be very uncomfortable at a Mother's Day brunch. And so I had to change jeans because I was like, I can't fit in these anymore. And so not getting upset about that, or if you get upset, owning that and then moving on. But it's like, it's really just a state of being uncomfortable for a set amount of time.
I put on a pair of shorts yesterday. I love these pair of shorts so much. They're like blue. They have like white. They're just so nice. They're like navy, and they have this white drawstring, and I love them so much. They're like a perfect casual short, And a lot of my shirts went so well with it. I put them on yesterday. I don't know. I was like, Maddie, are you putting anabolics in my anabolic steroids in my morning cereal? Because my thighs, these things, I mean, they were ready to tear across my thighs, which is great, for me right now. Right. I'm trying to get my quads and like my legs bigger, right? But yeah, so I don't know. There is coming from my leanest state of my entire life, I'm now up 23 pounds. And it's like seeing, like you said, seeing those lines that you worked so hard for. You get like shoulder definition, like the striations coming in. You start seeing the abs are just cut up and you're looking crazy. And now it's like, I mean, I look like a paper bag. I have no shape. Like I have.
Okay. I don't know if it's that extreme.
It's not that extreme. It's not literally that extreme, but like.
But it also kind of shows a little bit there, not saying like you have body dysmorphia, but the kind of body dysmorphia there of you being like, oh, I look so much better here or there. And it's like, there's some people that would give like their right arm to like, look how you look. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, if I could just look like Alex does. But it just shows like, this is going to like a confidence thing. It's like, no matter what aesthetic you achieve, if you can't accept and enjoy and be grateful of where you're at, it's never going to be enough.
Yeah.
There was, I realized watching it was a bodybuilder and he was talking. He's like, yeah, I remember the days when I was in high school and I was, 135, and I was like, if I can just get to 165, and I got to 165, I was like, man, if I can just to 185, got
Oh
to
yeah,
185.
seriously,
This guy is now
so
pushing
true.
250. Okay. He's
Oh,
pushing 250, or he's just trying to
oh,
get to 250. He's at like 230 or something like that,
how tall is
225.
he?
And he's like, it just shows the body. Do what?
How tall is he?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I was just over the fact that I was like, man, this guy started like 165 or 135. I can't remember what it
Yeah.
was, but it was insane. Like he almost doubled his body weight is
Oh
what my
my
memory was.
god.
Um,
I've done
and
way
he was
more
just
than
saying
that.
it just shows like it's never enough.
I
It's
started
never
out like
enough.
a
He's
couple
like,
pounds.
yeah. He's like, you just always keep chasing it. And he's like, that's the reality of the body's of the body dysmorphia that's in the bodybuilding industry. It's never enough. So it's just,
I don't know
not to
if
go
you
off on that
caught what I
tangent
said,
there.
but I was like, I started off at a couple pounds, so I've like 10x'd my weight at this point. Like as a baby.
Oh, LOL.
you like you
That was
you
real.
steamrolled past that.
I'll be honest, I didn't hear it, but that's a very low hanging fruit of a joke. So you're not getting too much
not
credit
worth
for
giving the attention to, I suppose.
Yeah. If I had heard it, maybe I would have just steamroll over it.
I think so, yeah. All right. Ideal rate of weight gain. So what should people be shooting for?
I always tell people half a pound, 0.5% to 1% per month is what you're aiming for. You can also do like 1% to 2% as well.
Yep.
But I think, I think this actually is appropriate with talking about this is like, you always hear the term like clean bulk and dirty bulk.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, I think people associate dirty bulk as in you eat absolutely whatever you want, even if it's pure junk all the time, just to gain the weight. And clean bulk is where you try to put on body fat, but you eat like vegetables and like more whole foods, and you put on less body fat. And you do it, you put on body fat slower. And a dirty bulk is you eat whatever you want, as much as you want, as much trash as you want, and you put on the max amount of body fat.
Yep.
When honestly, it shouldn't be. Technically,
it's not either or. It should never be
either or. It's just like, let's put on the most amount of muscle with the least amount of body fat. Like we should always be aiming for just because that's the definition of a clean bulk. Like we should always be aiming for a clean bulk technically.
Yeah.
But I hate that word
lean
because
bulk, clean bulk.
clean.
These are yeah, we hate these terms.
I hate those terms, but the goal should always be with a bulk to maximize muscle gain with the least amount of body fat. Because there's a point where if you're putting on 10 pounds a month, it's not a bell curve, but eventually it plateaus off, right? There's only so much body fat you can put on to maximize muscle. And then eventually you're just putting on more body fat. You're not maximizing muscle. And so it's like, why are we trying to put on 20 pounds in 2 months when that's not going to make you grow muscle any faster?
Yeah. The two ways I would look at this for rate of weight gain would be either a 200 to 300 calorie surplus per day. Now that assumes that you know your maintenance.
Yeah.
And that's actually a pretty hard number to dial down, especially as you're bulking or cutting even. That number is going to change pretty drastically for a lot of people.
Right.
So it'll go up, it'll go down, not day to day, but over the course of like weeks or months, it'll definitely change as you gain or lose weight. So 200 to 300 calorie surplus per day would be my recommendation. If you don't know your maintenance, shoot for, I would say 1% to 2% body weight per month. Bree's was 0.5% to 1%. Mine's 1% to 2%. I just think 0.5% per month. If you're, let's say 150 pounds, you're shooting for what, 3/4 pound per month at that point?
Yeah, I guess roughly. Yeah.
It'd be really hard to see that, see that on the scale, to track that on the scale.
I think also probably the more experienced you are, you could probably lean maybe towards down that a little bit because you know how to read your data. And I guess when I say 0.5%, it's more like, I more so want you to be leaning towards a pound. You know what I mean? At least a pound per month. Yep. So I guess 5% would be a little bit less depending on what you weigh.
Yep.
So,
how long should people bulk for?
So I used to be in the camp of saying at least 4 months minimum. And now I'm really on this like 6 month minimum at least is where I think you should. The longer you can do it, the better it's going to be. But then I'm also in the camp of if you're so scared to bulk and like it's just terrifying and you'll never do it because I'm telling you have to do it for at least 6 months, do it for a month and just like get your feet wet so you can get more comfortable. So I think ideally to see actual like tangibly you can see, okay, wow, I can see physical difference, 6 months. Yeah. But if you need to dip your toes, I'm also pro that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I try not to get scared of when you're moving between these phases of like, let's just say you're starting at maintenance and then you go into a bulk or you go into a cut. We're going to talk about bulking first.
Yeah.
Let's say you're 130 pounds, you move into a bulk. Within a week, you might be 133. That does not mean that you gained 3 pounds of body fat, right?
Yeah.
You probably gained maybe 1/4 pound of body fat
Right.
maybe. I mean, in 1 week, who knows? But it's mostly going to be stomach content. And when a lot of people go into weight loss, they're going for maintenance. They go to weight loss. They cut their calories, and they'll see that 3 pound weight loss, and they're like, "Oh my god, I feel so good. It's amazing." And like they're
Yeah.
celebrating this, and then they'll punish themselves for gaining 3 pounds on a bulk. It's like these things are
Yeah.
this kind of like range of,
Transition.
yeah, that transitionary period is it's going to be there's going to be a jump there, whether it's a
Yeah.
jump down or a jump up. So what I would recommend anytime you're moving in between these phases, my personal recommendation is disregard that first week of data. Like,
Yeah.
don't count it in, because you didn't just gain 3 pounds. Like, don't count that in toward your monthly target at all.
Yeah. I would say maybe, and you can disagree or agree, maybe don't count like the full 3 pounds. Like if you went up 3 pounds, some of that hope where, you're going to be in a surplus is hopefully to be body fat. So maybe don't disregard all of it. Just don't be like, oh my gosh, 3 pounds, like
Yeah.
understanding that transition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. As far as
yeah,
weekly
I think,
averages
but
go,
like
I
I said, I think
literally
with
don't
any
even count
phase,
it.
understanding that.
Hmm.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
What do you think about
We
how long? Do you agree with what I said? Or is there any thoughts that you have about how long you should be in one?
One of the questions that I have that I don't think you or I have the answer to is like physiologically why. Are there any processes that are ramping up? Because I hear so many people that you and I learn from that are like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, you should bulk for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months." Like, and I've always wondered physiologically why. Psychologically, I can understand it because, like, yeah, like you said, what are you going to gain in 3 weeks or a month? Or if you do 1 week of bulking and 1 week of cutting, it's like you're ping ponging, back and forth. It's like you're
Yeah.
basically just at maintenance at that point.
Right.
Um, but like physiologically, are there processes that have to ramp up for muscle growth? I don't have an answer to that question. That's something that I would like to know.
What would be your guess if you just had to guess? Like, and when Alex is saying ramp up, he's saying like, oh, there's the reason why you need to be in a bulk for 6 is because like the first month or 2 months or whatever, things are kind of, you're gaining muscle, but like it gets faster and faster over time kind of thing. I guess is what you're
Yeah.
saying, right?
Yeah, man, I don't even know if I want to put my finger on what a hunch would be, because this has been a question I've had for like 2.5 years now. That's
Yeah.
like, I almost thought about like, just pondering, like, should I go back and study this? Like, should I like go for a master's and a PhD? Like, because
Yeah.
I have a buddy that is getting his PhD, and he was like, if you ever have a burning question, that's the only way I would tell somebody to go like pursue a PhD. If you have a burning question in a
Yeah.
field that you're passionate about. And there was a time that I was like, man, this is a question that I'm very curious about.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
A lot of time and a lot of money for the one
Well,
question.
yeah,
So
exactly,
yeah, at the end of the
exactly.
day, what does that, if you find the answer to that, what does that change for a
Yes,
lot of people? I think the
right.
reality is most people just need to commit to a longer amount of
Yes,
time
yes.
for a multitude of reasons, but I think it's a great question.
So I think
So
physiologically, I don't have the answer. I don't know if like, I mean, I've looked high and low for this answer. I don't know if we have it.
yeah,
Psychologically, I think, yeah, I think you nailed it psychologically. Like, if
yeah,
you're super scared of weight gain, try it for a month, see how it goes. You might
yeah.
love the extra energy. You might love the way your lifts are progressing. But yeah, like to see the visual changes and to see the muscle, like, add on, I think 6 months would be my recommendation. Just commit to it for 6 months. What's the worst that's
Yeah, and
going
I
to
think
happen?
also when I talk about the dipping toe, like I will say definitely please give yourself a month of dipping your toe. Like don't do a week because again, you're going to get spooked by the first week. I
Yeah.
really want you to see the up and down that your body will do over the course of 4 and how you really like, oh wow, I actually put on a pound and a half and like what's really a pound and a half look like. I always remember like when I get to the end, when I'm going to cut, it's important for me psychologically to finish it. Like even it's like I only got 1 week
So true.
left. I can only realistically probably lose a pound of body fat. Am I even going to notice that pound? I could just quit right now. But for me, I need to see that through. And so
Yeah, it's like a finish line. Hmm.
yeah. And so when you do go into bulk and you're like, oh my gosh, I've gained a pound and a half, it's like, okay, but if you're at the end of the cut and you're like, it's just one more pound, you would think about that differently. So it's really like a pound and a half or a pound or whatever that ends up being. Is it your pants still fit the same? You still look the same, like you can do this for a bit longer and push yourself a little bit longer in those areas.
Something that you touched on earlier that I actually think we could talk about quite a bit more is this clean versus, dirty
Dirty bulk.
bulk. Like, we could talk about this for a while. Is that something that you'd want to discuss a little bit more?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, yeah. So we kind of talked about it earlier on like clean is this idea, clean versus dirty bulking. Clean is this idea that like, okay, you're eating just like chicken and broccoli and and
Yeah.
rice and like that's just an example, but basically that you're still eating the way you would in a cut, but just with larger portion sizes, where that
Right.
can kind of potentially not be easy is try
Yeah.
that. Try eating just those very
Whole food.
non-calorie dense, yeah, whole
Yeah.
foods, very nutrient dense foods. They're great for, your nutrient consumption, right? But they're going to fill you up so much, and it's why those foods are great as a base for, for just your life, because they
Right.
fill you up. But like you're going to need to throw in a Twix bar. You're going to need to throw
Yeah.
in some cereal. You're going to need to throw in something, because otherwise you will not be able to hit your calorie target without
Yeah.
these very calorie dense foods.
Yeah.
And I
And if
think
you,
that
for some reason, or don't want to eat a candy bar and you have something against that, like you're going to be, that's peanut butter and like a spoon are going to be quite a frequent thing that you're dipping into.
olive oil, yeah. The
Yeah.
one rule
Olive
I
oil.
like is no dry foods when you're on a bulk. If you're like
Yeah.
struggling to gain weight, no dry foods. So you got to have
Yeah.
sauces are great. Like if
Yeah.
you're eating a salad, I want
Dressing.
each leaf of lettuce to be soaked.
Yeah. Just dip each lettuce in dressing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
No,
So
totally.
if you're not hungry, I mean, this actually is one of our next points, is what to do if you're not hungry. And it's like lean into those calorie dense foods, like those the candy that you may have, said like, oh, I can't eat that, I'm so bad, like,
Yeah.
or the Oreos. For me, it's Oreos. I'm not kidding. When I'm bulking, I probably eat 8 to 12 Oreos every day. I'm
Yeah.
serious. And like probably
So
like 4 to 6 Rice Krispie treats. Like,
yeah, it's funny you brought that up because I'm now having to increase my calories a little bit. And
oh yeah,
so this is an interesting like mindset thing I've overcome recently. So I've always just tried to keep like snacks out of, not always keep snacks, but keep things like chips or just things I want to go grab and munch on just kind of out of the apartment, just so I don't have that desire
that
to do it. And if I
urge.
do,
Sure.
like it's not there. So I go for a whole meal, whatever. I still have snacks. I'm not against snacks. And so I've been really nervous in my bulk to bring those things back in because I'm like, what's
Mm,
going to happen is I'm going to enjoy snacking on these chips and pretzels and Oreos so much. So when I go into a cut, it's going to be that much harder in a cut because I was thinking about those things. I was
oh
enjoying those
yeah,
things so much.
yeah,
And I was like, no, Brie, like, you need to see if this is actually a thing. You're creating this reality that you have no idea is actually a thing. And so I've started buying like the Dots pretzels, which are just crack cocaine,
hmm,
and barbecue chips and Oreos. And Oreos are like notorious. That is like the one thing I have a really hard time controlling myself around.
mm,
But because I'm not hungry all the time and I'm so satiated, like I hardly think about those things. And I've actually been able to have them in the house. And so I recently bought Oreos. Now,
which
I will say
flavor?
I do end up eating like 12 Oreos probably in a day because I'll go for like two when I wake up, and then I'll go for like two for mid morning, and I'll go for two after lunch, and then two before dinner, and then like two after dinner.
Hmm.
But I had a friend who was watching someone on Instagram, and she was struggling with she was pregnant or just given birth, and she was struggling with her breast milk supply. And she posted, she was like, guys, I started eating Oreos, and my milk supply increased.
Hmm.
I swear on Oreos. And I was like, what she doesn't realize is it's not the
It's
Oreos
the
that are helping her
energy.
produce more milk. She's getting more calories
Yep,
in. And
yep.
so she's able to produce more. And I was like, wait, I can so easily eat Oreos. Why don't I just keep Oreos in my cabinet and easily my calories have been hit every day now
Where are your
because
calories at now?
26 to 27.
Whew,
I try
you're
to
getting
push
up
it
there.
27.
Yeah, you're
I
getting up
know.
there.
I know.
How's it
It's been
feeling?
nice though. I had another like thing I had happen the other day as a friend asked me, she's like, so are you excited to cut? And I was like, I just haven't thinking about it. I was like, kind of, but I also really love my life right now. Like I don't
Yeah,
have to
it's
think
fun.
about food like at all. Like I go out
Hmm.
to a restaurant, I can pick anything on the menu. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
get a couple drinks, easy. And
right.
it's like I'll hit my calories and be a little bit over, and I don't mind if I'm a little bit over. And like that kind of freedom in a sense is really, really nice. Like I don't be gaining forever, but there's going to be a point where I'm eating 2,700 calories. That will be a maintenance for me. And I can continue at this lifestyle that I'm at. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm excited to reveal the muscle because I can tell like I'm going to have a good like reveal of muscle when I do cut. But at the same time, like, man, the life is nice. At least
Yeah.
I know you're pushing a lot more calories than I am, but I don't know. Being not in a deficit is really enjoyable, you know?
Yeah, I'm at 3,500 calories. And like, I actually have to pay attention very closely to my diet.
Yeah.
So this weekend, I was at a wedding, and so I was tracking my calories even like while I was at the wedding. Once I
Yeah.
started drinking, I was like, okay, no, it's not happening. And by the
Yeah.
way, I did drink this weekend.
I right. You say yeah. You said I
You
started
perked up a
drinking.
little
I was like,
bit.
you drank?
You perked up. It's been the first time in like a year that
Wow.
and there's no reason. Like I'm not like sober. This isn't like, oh, I reset or anything
Yeah, you
like
just
that.
don't have a reason to.
Yeah, I just don't really like drinking that much. But like as I was drinking, I was like, I get why people do this. This is,
Yeah.
it's kind of fun. Like it's
Yeah.
fun getting a buzz and just like
Yeah.
dancing, But anyway, yeah, I'm at like 3,500 calories, and I'm so not hungry that like I could probably eat 2,000 or like 2,300 ish and be
Yeah.
full. So it's like I
Yeah.
have to really dial in, or else, and like really, really try to get my calories in early, or else I'm gonna be 10 p.m., 11 p.m.,
Miserable.
like 1,500 calories. I mean, the other night I had a bowl of popcorn, and then I had the biggest bowl of cereal. Like I couldn't even
To
finish
date.
it. Like it was over. It was. I mean, I have big bowls, and it was like
Yeah.
overflowing.
Oh
it
my
was.
gosh.
It was insane.
Well,
And
I think
woke
it's the
up with
difference between where you're at and like even Sage too. Like he has to constantly, and like I maybe I'm put that a little too far of like I don't have to think about it. Like I do. Like I know after we record this, like I need to go eat something,
Right.
and then I know we're gonna go look at some houses today. Like I need to make sure I eat before that and probably bring something with me. There's a little bit of intentionality with that, but it's also just nice knowing like going to the weekend. Like I don't really have to pre-plan us going out to
Yeah,
get
for
margaritas
sure.
and tacos on Friday because one, going out to eat period will easily put me into my calories for the day.
Yeah.
So it
Oh,
actually
yeah.
makes it easier when we go out to eat. And I will track it, but I just don't have to do this super crazy planning because if I'm over my calories a little bit, for me, I just don't super care because if I'm gaining a little bit more body fat, that's fine. Not a big deal. But yeah, there's a point with like you and Sage, like it's a point where if Sage and I go out of town, like he loses weight every single time because
Same.
eating 3
Yeah.
meals a day is not enough for him.
Yeah,
And I'm
right.
saying for you, but for me, if we're eating out 3 meals a day, I will hit that 2,700
You're
calories
good.
easy,
Mhm.
So it's just funny how that there's a point of calories you get to where it kind of drops off.
I think one thing for people who are interested in moving between these phases, I know we've talked a little bit about cutting on the bulking podcast, but or bulking episode, but when you move from a cut to a bulk or a bulk to a cut, it's not as severe when you have maintenance in between there. But when you're moving between these phases, you did you just
Did you
hear your
hear
cat?
that?
Keep that in.
Yeah, he wants pets, but I'm like,
who
I'm
is it?
filming. Okay, go
Who
ahead.
is it?
Shiner.
Okay,
He's the one that's bonding with the orange cat.
Melio or Diego.
Melio. Yeah.
You're sticking with Melio.
Yeah, it's Sage loves that name. I'm like, you know what? He's never named any of the animals, and he really
Young Flame or whatever. It's so cute.
I need at night he will sit on Sage's laps when he's playing League, and he's just sitting there watching like the colors, and he's just purring and just
Sage earned. Yeah, that's cute.
yeah.
Sage earned
I'm
the
like,
name.
fine, we'll do Melio, and it's cute. It just kind of fits, and
That works.
I don't know, but yeah. Anyways,
when you're moving from like a cut to a bulk or bulk to a cut, be ready for like a massive lifestyle change. Like there are things that I do when I first moved from a cut to a bulk and then vice versa. That's like, dang, you forget about this. You forget that like when you're in a cut, you need to like intentionally eat slower, or else your hunger is going to be insane. You forget like, oh man, I need to double up on my protein, my fiber, like all these
you
my
have
fruits,
like a
veggies.
protein each meal because if you don't, you're probably not going to get your protein for that day.
Yeah, you're going to be like starving, and you're not going to hit your protein goals. Like there's just so many things. And then I do think that the dichotomization, good word, of foods, of like good or bad foods, which again, Brie and I hate. You know, the calorie dense foods, they're not as nutrient dense, like Oreos, for example. It's like, oh man, people are so scared to bring those in the equation. But like, again, you're probably not going to hit your calorie goal if you don't. So like Brie said, start bringing in those snacks, start bringing in the Dots pretzels, the Oreos, the foods that you can just kind of munch on mindlessly to a degree, just to hit your calorie goals.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even because that was one of our points is like, are calorie dense foods bad and healthy and all that kind of stuff? It's like, let's play devil's advocate in that. Let's just say you prioritize your nutrition to the 100% and you make sure you hit every single thing your body needs 100% by eating whole foods. You're still going to have a calorie need at the end of the day. Right. So it's like your body's getting everything it needs, and eating Oreos is not hurting your body.
Yeah,
that's the thing I think people need to understand is like eating Oreos is not hurting. It's just not helping it like other foods would. Yeah. And so as long as you're getting everything else in you need, like it's helping it by getting the calories in, but nutritional. I mean, there is some nutritional value too. I mean, you flip over the back of the package, there's a nutrition label because there is nutritional value to it.
Right.
But it's not as nutritionally valuable as other things. And so it's like, it's fine if you're having that, as long as you're thinking about other things and having that balanced day.
Yeah, I'm so tired of the commercial demonization of sugar. And
Yeah.
this is something that gets me actually extremely frustrated is people always see like, oh, zero sugar added. They're like, that's something good to eat. Or like, oh, I need to watch my sugar consumption. Sugar
Right.
in and of itself is not inherently bad for you. It's
Not
just
a poison on its own.
if it crowds out your, if it's pushing out if it's pushing you over your calorie intake goal, if it's pushing
Right.
you way over into a surplus and you're not trying for that, you're trying to
Right.
lose weight, then yeah, sugar is not. The two things that I see that are potentially wrong with sugar is one, it's not very satiating, and two, the foods that contain it usually are not very nutritionally dense.
Yeah.
That's it.
And not only are they not nutritionally dense, they're typically dense in calories, which then
Right.
lists the weight gain part too.
Yeah. And so like we have this demonization of sugar. It's like sugar is not really an issue on its own. And in fact, it can be very, very helpful for people that are struggling. Let's say you have little Timmy who's 120 pounds leaving college. Hey, that was me, and was really struggling to gain weight. And like this is another topic for another day, but I have a
We could
family
honestly
member.
a whole probably podcast on sugar, but
Right.
go
I have a
ahead.
family
Keep
member
going.
who's like, oh, that's bad for you. You can't be eating that. Like, you shouldn't be eating that. If you want to gain weight, you need to eat clean, And he had no idea what he was talking about nutritionally, but that's a whole nother thing. But
Well,
it's like I needed to eat those things because I was
Yeah.
struggling to gain weight because I was running around for soccer, right? I was running like miles every day. And it's like I couldn't put on weight for the life of me.
Yeah. What people don't understand is, like you said, sugar itself as a single thing is not poisonous to your body. When you consume sugar, it's not poison. I know there are people who are going to be listening to this. They're like, that's not true. Like, it
Right.
causes the inflammation, blah, blah, blah. It's like, there's a whole, again, we can
That's
do
a
a whole
whole
podcast on this.
thing.
What the problem with sugar in our society is we have a ton of it. There's no nutritional value. And so if, let's just say you're trying to
Whoa. No
What?
nutritional value.
Okay.
I need to put the brakes on there. It
Go
is a
for it.
carbohydrate and it fuels you.
You're true. Correct. So very low in nutritional value. So thank
I
you for that
still
correction.
firm disagree.
Really?
Firm disagree.
Okay,
with
but I'm thinking
value.
I'm thinking like vitamin C, vitamin A, like those things.
Okay. Nobody's eating
Let
a spoonful of sugar, but even if
let me finish with what I'm saying, and then
Okay, go
maybe you'll
for it.
understand. And then I'm totally down for you disagreeing. You are
we'll debate on this. We're gonna be
So
gritting
the
my
problem
teeth.
with sugar is that we consume a lot of it. Just let me say low nutritional value. It's low nutritional value when it comes to like vitamin A and vitamin C. It's low in vitamins and minerals. I'll say that it's very low in the vitamins and minerals of what you're needing. I'm just watching your face. I'm just like, where is he going to start?
Don't look at
smiling?
my face. Don't look at my
Okay,
face.
I'm just going to finish what I'm saying. We consume a lot of it, very low nutritional value, and it is in foods that are very high in calories. But let's even take that out. If you're trying to fill up, let's just say like you have a cup, right? You only can put so much in that cup. You are the cup, right? If you are filling 60% of that with sugar and then 40% of that with, other things, you're not getting a lot of densely nutritional foods in your system. So that's the problem with sugar, is that people consume sugar so much that most of their diet is not filled with highly nutritionally dense foods, and they're missing out on that. And that's what's making them sick. It's not the sugar that's making them sick. It's the lack
Making
of
them
them eating
sick.
other
Hold on.
diversity.
Making them
Go ahead.
sick?
I'm saying sick, like people are like gaining weight, having diseases, like all that stuff. People are saying like sugar is why I have cancer, or why I have heart disease and all this. It's like, it's not sugar that is the
It's an
reason.
overconsumption of calories
It's the overconsumption of calories for the weight gain.
for
And
a
then you can
very
talk-
long period of time.
Correct.
That
And then
puts
it's
you in a obese situation.
Correct. And then it's other things in addition to weight gain. It's, not having vegetables and fruits and all these other things in your diet that are going to help not get certain diseases. Like, it's not sugar that's causing all of these things. It's the excess consumption of sugar that takes away from the things
Excess
that are
consumption of calories.
Yes. But I'm also saying you could even not this, and this is what I believe is that you could not have an excess consumption of calories. You could be eating your maintenance, but your diet consists of a ton of sugar
Mhm.
that isn't
And
things
you
that are
won't
like
get the
fruits and
vitamins, the
vegetables.
nutrients that you
Does
want.
that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, I agree
So
with
I
that.
agree with you. Yes, I think a lot of the sugar problems that we have here, especially in the States, is because of the overconsumption of sugar. There's an overconsumption of calories, which that causes a weight gain, which causes a mile long list of issues. And there's also people who aren't overweight who their diet is completely, not completely, but very high in sugar, and they're not getting essential things that they need as well. Does
Yeah,
that make sense what I'm saying?
sort of. I'm gonna
Okay.
my turn to throw some punches.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
um, let's replace sugar with water, and let's just play this whole thing out of like, oh,
I think it's a great idea.
sugar does
Yeah,
not have nutrients. Does water? No, but we need it to
right.
survive. And I'm not saying like
Right.
we absolutely need carbohydrates to survive. No, we can go into ketosis if we wanted to
Yeah.
and use
Our
fats and
bodies can adapt
protein.
very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Now we do need fats, we do need protein in order to survive. We need water to survive. But like, so we don't need sugar to survive, but like nobody's going into their pantry and eating a tablespoon of sugar and being like, "Oh man, that was so good." It's sugar, it's fats, the combination of those two things, like in pizza,
Yes.
like in Oreos, like in donuts, like in
Right.
all these foods, right? And yes, they a lot of times they aren't nutritionally fortified like the same way that blueberries or strawberries or oatmeal
Right.
or one of those things are.
Yeah.
Things that are high in sugar typically aren't very high in fiber, so that's another thing. Fiber is
Right.
very, very good for us, and it's very satiating. But I very much want to stray away from the demonization of sugar as one ingredient. Like, let's look at like a bowl of cereal, right?
No,
Has
you should
anybody
say on the
ever?
water thing because I think we can apply what you said to what I said is like, okay, let's say you eat a certain amount of, you're a glass and you fill up your day with 80% water and you only have the rest of your day's 20% food, you would be under eating and then you would
Yep,
therefore die
right.
because the most of your stomach is consumed with water, which is great for you, but water's not going to keep you alive through everything. You also need food on top of that. So I think you could apply this to literally any single
Any one
ingredient.
ingredient, yeah,
You do a
any one
sodium.
ingredient.
Like if your sodium intake is like your sugar intake, same
Oh my
thing.
God, you're done.
Yeah, you're done. You can literally take
Yeah,
any single ingredient, and if you replace
the
that and you
dose
have that
makes the
in
poison.
excess, it takes away from the other things. What were you gonna say?
Yep, the dose makes the poison in
Yeah,
every
exactly.
situation. In
Yeah,
every single situation,
and
water
we are
is
just highly dosed with the sugar.
potentially yes. I
Yes.
do agree that like the commercialization of a lot of just like I mean, look, you go to Frito Lay, right? You go to Frito Lay, the business, and they
Yeah.
have some of the world's greatest food engineers trying to make delicious foods that they're probably going to need sugar. They're probably going to need fats. They're probably going to need salts to make this delicious thing that borderline makes you, I'm not going to say like addicted because addiction is like a whole different thing, but it
Yeah.
makes you want that thing again and
Yeah.
again and again. It's a very high dopamine response from that,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
it's not just sugar. It's just, and so a lot of people are like, oh my God, I can't eat sugar because it's bad for you. It's like, oh my God, you are missing so much of, you're seeing
Forest through the
one.
trees. Is that the
Yeah.
analogy or the yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just one thing that's frustrating to me. And also like eat a bowl of cereal, guys. And also
Yeah.
while you're doing that, go ahead and read the nutrition label and look at how heavily fortified those things are. Like, is
Yeah.
it the best thing for you to eat at every single meal? No, definitely not. But
Yeah.
oh my God, they fortify the hell out of those. They put so many vitamins in a
Yeah.
bowl of cereal now. It's actually
Yeah.
really impressive what they're able
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. No, I think you and me both agree. We just explain I see it a little bit different,
We have the
maybe.
exact same head on this, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think you and me are opposing on this,
No,
but because I agree with you. Like you said, sugar is like it's a carbohydrate, gives you energy.
right.
Um,
In a lot of
like you
cases, it
said,
can be
water was a great example.
extremely
Yeah,
beneficial for the
yeah,
right people in the right circumstances. It's just, like you said, a lot of people are way over consuming it and not consuming enough of the nutrient dense foods that they need. But if
right.
if you have a healthy diet that, you meet your nutrition needs, you meet your fiber needs, you hit your protein targets, and you're within your calorie targets for whatever that is, and you're not overweight, sugar there's nothing wrong with sugar if you're adding it
Right.
on top or if you're adding these fun foods or whatever we want to call it on top.
Yeah. I think the last thing I want to add to this, and then we honestly talked about that for a long time, but
We
it was
beat that
probably
one
going
to
to be
death.
necessary for this.
Yep.
The one thing I'll add is the difference with sugar with like comparable with like water and sodium that I personally brought in is like you can't completely eliminate water from your system or sodium, you would die.
Yeah.
Sugar, if you never had any sugar ever again, you would still survive.
You'd survive. You'd
Live
fine.
a great, wonderful life.
Yeah.
So that's probably the one.
Kind of.
Well,
Maybe.
yeah, it's true. I debate. I don't know if it'd be a wonderful life without sugar, but
yeah, and also just like how are we defining sugar? Are we defining sugar as like all carbohydrates are broken down into the simplest forms as glucose? Like in that sense, like you're gonna operate worse if you're lifting and you're eliminating, not even if you're lifting, but like potentially from a mental aspect, if you're eliminating carbs completely from your diet, because like carbs, sugar, essentially.
And I'm just talking about like, I think I'm just trying to talk about table sugar, but you're correct. People could be talking about fructose or any like all those stuff too. But
there's so many like small semantics that we could go on, you know, and like pick each other apart on the. That might be another episode that we like because we could talk for. Yeah, we could talk for an hour.
For sure.
All right, next point. How do you know when to stop versus stop bulking versus when to buckle down and get uncomfortable with the extra body fat? I think in any journey you're going to get uncomfortable. You know, especially with like weight gain, like both you and I are, you know, how many months into this at this point? Like 8, 9, 10 months?
October, November, December, January, February, March, April. I'm 8.5 months.
When did you start bulking?
August 1st.
Okay, I started in September.
Okay, so you're like 7.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm up 23 pounds at this point. Now, the reason for that, there's a very specific reason that I'm up that much. I shouldn't, like math wise, if we're gaining like 1 to 2% body weight per month, I shouldn't be up that much. So I just want to add a disclaimer here that like I was in such a lean state that my body, I was probably like,
you needed to put on a good chunk of weight.
I was at an unhealthy point, and so I knew that I needed to put on body fat for my body to be like healthy again. So I was eating like 4,000, 5,000 calories per day for a good week and a half, exclusively for the reason of trying to put on body fat as fast as possible to recover from where I was. This isn't the case for a lot of people. Most people, if you're just like your average kind of lean, you don't need to do this. But like for bodybuilders, I'm not a bodybuilder, but like for bodybuilders who are like stage lean, which I was, or at least maybe not pro lean, because
you were 100% state. I mean, again, you've talked about this a few times on the pod, is like you were getting lightheaded walking around your neighborhood. Yeah. So you were definitely at a leanness that would be stage appropriate.
Unhealthy level of lean. So I knew what I needed to do was put on a bunch of weight. So like when I say 23 pounds in 7 months, like don't be like, oh, that's what I should shoot for then.
Yeah.
You know, since then I'm
at a chunk of that was up front.
10 pounds of that were in the first month. And then the next like 13-ish pounds has been a really solid rate of like 1.5 to 2 pounds per month, which I've been so happy with.
Yeah. And I'm about 11, 12 pounds up from my, because I was at 140 and I'm like 152-ish around there. Mm-hmm. So I'm about 12 pounds in 8.5 months. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm right around my 1 to 2%. But I will say it was like a little bit faster in the beginning. How mine has gone, it hasn't been really evenly spread. It was a little bit faster in the beginning.
You had a plateau for a bit there, right?
Yeah, and I plateaued actually for a bit, and I was like, I need to push my calories. I was also like, we talked about like I was just so full and I didn't want to eat. And Alex was like, have you drank your calories? I was like, why have I not thought about that?
Your brain like exploded.
Yeah, my brain exploded because I think we're always trying to get our water intake in, and it's like, wait, why am I not drinking orange juice with breakfast and then chocolate milk with lunch and like adding calories that way? And then when I was hitting a little bit of plateau again, I was like, let me just get Oreos and just whenever I feel like having a snack on them, just eat them. And that will just naturally increase me. So yeah. And so mine's been it hasn't been even 12 pounds, but it definitely was a little bit faster, plateaued for a little bit. And now it's been more consistent over time. So
yeah, for people who want to know my weight, because I like that you added your weight in there. I was 150 at the end of my last cut, and now I'm 173 today.
Okay.
Just for perspective, I think I'm going to go to like 180 or 185 pounds. We'll see how that pans out. Yeah. My short-term goal is like 175 short-term.
Yeah.
8-month to 9-month goal is 175 pounds. Then I'm going to reevaluate, but I might just bulk through the summer.
I want to ask you this because I see people do it differently. I see some people make weight goals that they want to hit before they start bulking, and some people make time goals. What's your reason for doing the weight goal versus a time?
I actually generally prefer a time goal.
Okay.
I think that's a lot more fun because then you have a guaranteed finish line, right? You know,
Yeah.
like your weight can fluctuate so much. Like maybe one day you're 175, next day you're 173.5, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do generally prefer time goal. I use Macrofactor, use code Alex for a 2-week free trial.
I love it.
But I use that. And so they make you enter in a weight goal and then it tells you like your projected end date based on that,
Okay.
based on your rate of weight gain. So
Yeah.
that's the reason that I have like 175 as a
Okay.
current goal. But like for clients, I definitely prefer rough idea of weight, but more than
Yeah.
anything else, let's have start and end dates is what I
Yeah.
really like to
Okay. I
work.
should know if there's a reason people did that versus well, maybe bodybuilders will because they're like, I don't care how long it takes. Like I need to get to, 200 pounds
Mm.
because that's where physique wise I need to be. And so if that takes me here, cool. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so they don't care about the timeline. They care about getting to 200 pounds with muscle. So
Very softly in my brain influencing me. Back when I set this goal originally, back in September, I was
yeah.
still doing powerlifting
Hmm.
and like kind of casually. And
Yeah.
the next weight class is like 165, so I was trying to make 148 for the original
Oh,
weight listing.
when you were, you got to 155.
I got to 150.1.
Yep. Wait, 150 what?
150.1 pounds is what I got to
Oh
at
my
the end. And
gosh.
so I was like, and I was testing water cuts and I have footage from that I've never released. I'll show you when you're here.
Yeah,
It's gnarly, man. I mean,
I
it's
bet.
like I was getting out of a don't do a hot bath. Don't do that. Oh my God. So I had somebody later recommend a sauna suit. So maybe we'll talk about this at some point down the road, but
Yeah.
like it was ugly.
Yeah.
It
That's
was like
wild.
really, really not good for
Well, I
my
think
health.
now though, through that experience, you're not going to be in the 148 weight class
I couldn't and once
ever.
I failed that, like, I did fail. Like I realized that like for my health I could not do this.
Yeah.
I realized that's never going to be feasible because I was like, I'm going to bulk after this and I'm going to put on
Yeah.
muscle. That's just
So you're
not
just pushing yourself farther and farther from being able to hit that. So you just got to go for the different weight class.
165 is the next
Okay.
weight limit. So it's like, okay, now I have roughly 15 pounds of muscle of room that, to put
Hmm.
on. And 15 pounds of
Yeah.
muscle, that's going to take me 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going to continue with powerlifting or not. I think it's fun to just like test and see my numbers every once in a while. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Love it.
So like we actually didn't even answer the question how to know when to stop versus like when to buckle
Oh,
or buckle down and get
yeah. So
be
I'm
uncomfortable
glad
with
you
it.
recognize that because I was ready to move on to the next one. I mean, for me, it's like, how do you know when to stop? I mean, I always think there's like one hard and fast rule that I would stop. It's like if you're getting to a body fat percentage that's actually unhealthy for you and having negative health effects.
How do people know their body fat percentage?
Do what?
How do people know their body fat percentage though? Like that's another
Yeah.
thing is like, are you getting DEXA scans? Are you just eyeballing it? Like,
Well, and I think maybe like a good range for it is like, I mean, there's obviously generic numbers out there of like, if you're a 5'7" female, like around what you'd weigh. And mine right now which is actually interesting. I'm thinking about that. I think it says like it's 122 to 150 something, like a very like 30-pound range. I mean, I'm 151 right now. And if I went and got I'm assuming if I went and got my blood work done, I would probably be totally fine. So it's
yeah.
like, okay, where is actually an unhealthy body fat? But typically, I think for a lot of people, they'll see it like cardiovascularly, like you're just getting to a heavy enough weight where like it's difficult for you to hold up cardiovascular wise. But you may see some other issues too, health wise. But I feel like the first one that people notice is their cardiovascular kind of starts to go.
If you guys are doing DEXA scans or you're looking at body fat percentage in some accurate way, like don't use the foot scale in your bathroom. That's not going to be
No.
accurate. Don't use the handheld scale that personal trainers at your local gym will be like, you got to hold on to this.
Or
And it tells you
the in body scans.
those work on a technology called bioelectrical impedance analysis, BIA for short. And what it does is
Yeah.
it sends, like, let's say you're holding onto it or you're standing on it, it sends an electrical signal up one and down the other. Now, electrical currents travel differently through body fat versus muscle, so that's like generally how it works.
Yeah.
It's
Where it can't travel versus where it can. And that's how it does the analysis.
I think it's just rate. I think it still can travel, but anyways, I'm not positive on that.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But that's how it analyzes it is that based on like with the resistance it's receiving, which where it's traveling, that's how it analyzes what your body fat percentage is.
yeah, but it is super, super, super inaccurate.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't. A lot of it is going to be based on hydration. So I wouldn't even use it. It's like throwing a dart at a dartboard blindfolded. Like it's going to be if it's accurate to your actual body fat percentage, it was by luck, not
Yeah.
by oh, you're some testing protocol god.
Yeah.
DEXA is probably going to be the best you're going to get outside of like. I mean, that's even pretty lab setting. Those are what, like 50, $100,000, something like that. Like those are expensive machines.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway,
Yep. Okay.
so when should you get? I actually posted the other day about how uncomfortable I was with my own body. So
Yeah.
like you're gonna have those bad body image days where you're like, dang, I look chubby now, and like I didn't used to look like this. So I don't know. What advice do you have for
I
if
don't
you
know.
should
I think
stop
how do you know
or?
when to stop? One, if it's negative, that's the hard stop. Is if it's negatively affecting you health wise. And then I think the buckle down and get comfortable. Like I also think there's a point where it's like I don't have to buy all new clothes. Like I don't have the finances for that. I don't want to go buy all new clothes. I like my clothes, and so you could be like, okay, once I start actually not being able to button my pants, then that's when I stop. And I think
Yeah,
that will actually take a lot long. If you're trying to go for like a pound per month, it'll take actually. I'm just
6
now
months, like it'll
my
take.
first pair of pants I can't sit down in.
Yeah,
And that took 8.5 months for me to get there.
yeah.
So, I when to buckle down, get comfortable with extra body fat. That's just
It's
hard.
a tough call because you're gonna
I
have those
don't know
bad
the
body
person who's
image. You're gonna have those bad
yeah.
body image days no matter what, and then like 2 days later, I think here's a off the wall recommendation.
Okay.
If you have double the amount of bad body image days than you normally do, because some people are going to be more strict, so I'm not going to put like a static number of like 2 bad body image days
Yeah,
per
true.
week. If you normally have one of those per week and you start having two of those per week, I would seriously start considering, should you turn this around at some point. I don't know if that's a
Yeah.
really good rule of thumb.
No, I actually like that, but my immediate thought was if you half of your week is spent with bad body image days, maybe not two, but
I
it's
like
like
that.
because I think there's definitely times where it's like you get around birthdays or vacations and you start picking apart a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it's like if most of the time, like for a month, I mean, half of your week, half of your days, 3, 4 days, you're just having terrible body image days. And it's like, okay, you're at a pretty uncomfortable amount. But then I also
Yeah.
don't think it's the worst thing in the world if like you can't fit into any of your jeans. And you're like, I don't want to buy all new
Yeah,
jeans.
just do a
I think that's
cut.
fine. I think you're good, but I think it will take again if you're gaining at a rate of about a pound per month. I mean, again, it depends how tight you buy your jeans, all that stuff. There's a lot of stretch to jeans nowadays too. It's actually going to take a lot longer than you realize.
Hmm.
But it's hard just not knowing someone's personality of like, do you need to be pushing, like, do you need to push yourself more, or like you having a healthy mindset about this and like, yeah, you can go ahead and stop.
I think
But
something that might be really helpful is like talk to a friend, talk to a coach, talk to somebody about what you're feeling and just
DM
having that
us.
like, yeah, have that
Yeah.
soundboard. Like you and I have talked about like bulking and like in some capacity with each other. And I think
Yeah.
just having a friend that can kind of relate to you, they don't necessarily need to be going through the bulk, but just be like, dude, am I getting fat? And they're gonna be like, you're crazy. No.
Girls can't really ask each other that. That maybe guys can, but
Yeah,
not
that's fair.
necessarily something girls can do.
Yeah, that's
So,
fair.
but guys would do that and be like, okay, cool, man. Thanks for the honesty and move on. And then
Mhm.
it would end friendships, honestly. It would end friendships. So,
I wanted to
but
throw
I
out
mean, I
a
don't know. I think you and you know what you need to push past and what
yeah.
your mental block is and the reality of it. And just like whatever emotions you're feeling, like wait it out 24 hours and then come back
Yeah,
to
oh, so true. Wait it
thinking
out
about
24 hours.
that.
Love that rule. Love that
Yeah.
rule.
Give
Yep.
yourself 24 hours of like, okay, I'm feeling really emotional right now. Give myself 24 hours. And you go back and you're
Sleep
like,
on
oh,
it.
it's okay. There's times where like I'll take photos to post on Instagram and I'm like, I hate every photo. And I
Same.
know about this. I go, wait 24 hours, come back to the photos. I'm like, oh, these are actually really cute because I was just having a moment
Yeah.
with whatever it was. So.
Healthy body fat, roughly healthy body fat for men and women. If you're getting a solid testing protocol like DEXA, 10 to 20% for men and 18 to 30% for women is healthy body fat percent.
Yeah,
ranges.
I think if you want to get your body fat tested, the only way I would actually like recommend would be like DEXA. Just know there's a 5% error rate on that. So just take it with,
if they don't, if you do schedule a DEXA, look up a testing protocol of like what you should be doing before. I think it's like you shouldn't be lifting. I don't know the exact thing, so please look them up.
Right.
But something like you shouldn't lift 24 hours before. You shouldn't eat right before. Like these things can screw it up. Kind of the same way that we want to look at weight, under the same conditions, every day. If we're looking at our weight every day, that's how we want to do our testing protocol for DEXA is like do it under the same conditions so we can get some kind of measurable data that's relevant and consistent to what you're, what you're doing.
So you ate right before versus didn't right before for two different scans, it's going to come back different. So I agree. That was a good one.
So we're currently bulking. What struggles have we dealt with? What advice would we give each other?
I feel like I've talked a little bit about mine. I'm finally not fitting into a pair of jeans. That's kind of like, well, that really wasn't a struggle. I was like, oh, this sucks. I'm gonna have to wait till the fall to fit into these again. And I just moved on. But thankfully I've purchased other jeans in the meantime, so I'm fine. Um,
How's your hunger been? Are you
oh, I
managing
have
it
zero
well?
hunger at all times. I mean, I'm
Is
just
it coming
never
up on
hungry. That's probably
nausea?
been a big do what?
Is it coming up on nausea yet?
No, no, I really have not hit the nausea at yeah. I mean,
I'm
there's
hitting
times where I'm
nausea.
like, shoot, I have 2,000 calories to hit and it's 8 p.m. and I'm just like, do I make myself sick or do I call it an L? Usually I'll try to get as much as I can without making myself sick and then call it an L and be like, I need to plan out tomorrow better. Um, yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna let you talk about what struggles have you dealt with. I feel like I need to think on that a little bit more.
My two biggest struggles have been like the hunger is just I'm usually I'm not a very hungry person as is. I just always have been like it's harder for me to put on weight than it is for me to lose weight.
Yeah.
So that's been pretty tough. Is like this morning I poured a bowl of cereal, 126 grams of cinnamon toast crunch, and 300 milliliters of milk.
Hmm.
And I couldn't even finish it. I got through like 90% of it, and then I had to like subtract it from my calorie tracker, like
Yeah.
take that back out. And I was like, I'm just getting sick. Like I literally feel nauseous from eating, and it's like
Yeah.
not even that big of a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
Um, it's big for like the average human, I think, but like or like the average person. And so nausea is pretty tough, especially eating early in the morning. I've been trying to eat just like wake up and eat a granola bar, eat something small
Right.
just to get some kind of like hunger going. Because otherwise, I could go till 1, 2 p.m. without eating, and
Yeah.
like I'll be
Same.
I'll be fine. And so, coming from that level of leanness, like striations all over my body, like my skin is just paper thin and tight
Yeah.
across my muscle and everything to now. And I feel like I'm not gonna say like chubby. I just feel like I've had to reframe my thinking of being like, oh, you're really lean, like, you feel like a
Yeah.
tiger almost, to now I feel like more of like a bear. Like I have to like think of myself in terms of animals, like, oh, I'm going bear
Yeah.
mode now.
Yeah.
Like I'm hibernating essentially, and I'm
Yeah.
just like putting
Yeah.
on weight, and like so I've had to change it from, instead of like being like fast and agile and like cut and stuff, is like I am powerful. Like
Yeah.
that's like a mental thing that I've had to get over, is just like thinking like, okay. So that's why I started testing my powerlifting, not quite 1 rep max, but just like
Yeah.
lifting really heavy again to remind myself like what the goal is here. And it's like maximizing muscle growth, but also I'm just getting fucking strong, man. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I could rip a tree apart. Like I know
I
how
love
weird
that.
that sounds, but like I literally feel like I could just take a log and just snap it in half. I
Yeah.
couldn't. Like I couldn't do that. That's not like, that's Captain America did that, but like
But
no,
you feel like you can.
I feel like I could. I'm not going to
Yeah.
test it because I'd be like
Yeah.
really disappointed.
Yeah. I feel like after you talking about that, I feel like the eating, like getting up calories in has been the struggle, which is always mind blowing for women. Like that's a struggle, but like get up to 2,700 calories, like trying to eat
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
right.
And I still enjoy Oreos and stuff, but like I do try to eat well. That can be a struggle. And then making sure you do that where you get to, you're not at 8 p.m. trying to cram calories in. I feel like for me, like this bulk has just been such a growing, like I've just experienced a lot of positives in this bulk. Like I've never been, this is the most body positive, confident I've ever been,
I love that.
ever. And which is a weird thing to think of. Like I'm not at my heaviest I've ever been is 160, but it's like, I remember a time in my life where I was like at 155. I was like, oh my gosh, I really need to drop weight. Like I'm getting like, I can't believe I'm pushing 155. And now it's like, I'm 151, 152 ish. And I'm like, I could stay here. Like I could not go into cut in August and be happy with my body how it is right now for probably the rest of my life. And it's like, that's a really weird thought to have. And so it's just like, it's been more of like, maybe the struggle there, and maybe it's okay that I don't talk about that I have a bunch of struggles, and that's okay. It's just like the struggle is like really reframing of like, wow, this is like my new reality. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And this is cool to see how much I've grown from the last time I've done this and just the last time I've weighed this amount. Or something else I was going to bring up too. Oh, there was one thing that I posted about. I posted a reel where I tried on all of my shorts
Oh yeah, I
I've
remember
had
that.
for the last like,
Yep.
I don't know, 8 years. And when I was in that reel, I didn't say, oh, my body's bigger now, so I need to change. I said, I have a stronger body now, and these
I
shorts will
love that.
support my stronger body. And that
Hmm.
spoke to so many people because it's like, my body's not just bigger. Like my body is so much more. It's stronger. It's more capable. It's all of these things. It's like, why we, first of all, bigger shouldn't necessarily be a negative word, but it has been in society. And so it's like, this is just my stronger body. That's what I've built. And I actually kept one pair of shorts that don't fit because I have a photo of myself on vacation. I'm just like, I don't know, posing for a photo wearing these shorts. And I was at a really lean. I really liked my body then, and I don't fit in them now. And so I'm like, I
Mm.
can't wait to go into a cut, put those on, not be able to fit in them, be like, look, I am lean and have lines and all this, and I don't fit in these shorts that fit me in 2018,
Mhm.
and like do a comparison photo there. But that was a cool experience to go through, being like, look, I could get 10 pounds leaner right now and I still won't fit in these shorts because I put on more muscle, which is what the intent was. And
Mm.
I'll look probably more, even though I hate this word, more toned in those shorts when I try those on versus when I had them back in 2018. So
Yeah.
that
Actually,
was a
I
cool
just want to like
experience.
quickly for 1 minute say, for people that are looking to get like that tone, that Brie and I hate this word, but you're
I
going
have
to
a
need to
podcast all on that. I think it's episode 4 if you want to hear why I hate the word tone.
go check out episode 4.
Yeah.
But for like, if you want to get toned, you're going to need to gain muscle. Like
Yeah.
nobody's like has zero muscle or very little muscularity and is like losing weight and then it's like, oh, I look toned. Like you're just going to look like a limp noodle. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
like if you want to get toned, if you want to look like those people that have muscle, you're going to need to put on muscle. Does that mean you
Yeah.
absolutely need to be in a surplus? No, but it means that like
Means you'll need to
once
weigh more.
it means you probably need to weigh more. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the biggest hurdle for women to get over, is that you'll need to weigh more.
The number on the scale, like you might be attached as 120 or 130 or whatever, but like
Yeah.
you might look better at 130 or 140. So like
Yeah.
don't worry about the number as much, use it as a data point, but don't use it as your end goal.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That was great. That was really good. That was
That
a
was
very
good.
succinct way of saying that. That might be a clip.
Perfect. Do you want to close us out with talking about your favorite calorie dense foods?
Oh my God, I would
I mean, we
love
mentioned
to.
Oreos like 500 times, so I don't know if,
do you want to do an
cereal.
Oreo review when we're here? We're thinking about doing an Oreo review with you. You want to do one with us?
I'm down. Yeah, of course.
We'll do lemon, maybe.
Oh, I'm not a really big lemon person, period. But I'll still review it with you.
I hate lemon, and so I'm thinking
Okay.
this is going to be like a 3 or a 4 out of 10 for me, but I'm not
Okay.
sure yet. I
We'll see.
haven't tested it. Anyway,
So cereal for sure.
yeah, cereal, Frosted Flakes, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Apple Jacks, Count Chocula when it's in season. I say that like it's like a fruit, yeah. But like they only have it around like Halloween though.
By the way, did you know that Oklahoma state vegetable is a watermelon?
Why would?
Oh. Right? Yeah, your face and response right now is exactly how I responded. It's a fruit, and they classified it as their state vegetable. I learned this yesterday. So
where did you learn that from?
We were, for some reason, at our Mother's Day brunch, we were talking about, what the state bird is of Texas? The state this of this. And I think Sage or my brother was like, yeah, do you know Oklahoma's state vegetable is a watermelon? And then we went down a whole discussion of what's a fruit versus a vegetable. And yeah.
That must have been a riveting conversation. And I'm only disappointed that I wasn't in Texas to take part in that.
Yeah. It would have been great if you had been there.
Anyways, that literally just like broke my brain.
Right. So yeah. Anyways, so cereal when it's in season.
If nothing else, our listeners can take away from this podcast that fun fact that
Oklahoma classifies. I don't even know if they classify watermelon as a vegetable, but their state vegetable is a watermelon. So
wow. Devious.
Mine would probably be more like chippy, crunchy thing. So like I love like the Dots pretzels, barbecue chip, like any type of chips are my favorite. Ooh, chips and queso, man. Was just like, I'll just get, tortilla chips, queso. That's a good one for me to snack on and eat forever. Yeah, mine are all like kind of the crunchy, salty things, if I think about it, that I really like to go on the calorie.
Let's see. Cereal, Oreos, some chippies, like Doritos sometimes.
Yeah.
IBC root beer. Shout out IBC root beer.
Oh, yeah.
I have like one of those every day. I actually have
chocolate milk.
Yeah. I actually have 2 jugs of chocolate milk in my fridge that I haven't opened yet. I need to get on that. I don't know why. I know.
Love the chocolate milk.
Juices.
Those are easy.
What are?
Juices, like orange juice.
Yeah.
I switched, when I would go to Chick-fil-A, I'd always get a diet lemonade. I now get the regular ones. That's 220 extra calories right there. So just making those small little switches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I throw in more butter or olive oil when I'm cooking. When Maddie's cooking, I should say. I don't really cook that much. She does the majority of the cooking in this household. The firm majority. I'm going to say like 99.9%.
Yeah.
It's great. We have a good situation here.
It is a good situation.
Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream's a good one.
Caramel Sutra is a favorite of mine. I really like caramel. Caramel chocolate cheesecake is also a good flavor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben and Jerry's specifically, 1 pint of that is like 1,100 calories.
Yeah. I don't know what Bluebell is. I like Bluebell better. Okay. So, but I'm very just like cookies and cream. Like that is just.
That's good. That's good.
Nothing beats Bluebell's cookies and cream for me. So. Yeah, I think everyone kind of gets the idea. Just, the fun foods that you
Hmm.
like and enjoy, just eat a little
Yeah,
bit more of
whatever.
them,
There's nothing magical about
you
what
know?
Bree and I said. It's just like our preferences.
Yeah, and I think also if you don't want to, you don't have to go down the route that we're going. You also could just like whatever you're currently eating, just like double some of the portions.
Hmm.
If you have a banana at lunch, have two bananas.
Hmm.
Like yeah, we talked about this the fullness and satiety issue. If you're running to that fullness and satiety issue, then yeah, lean into some more dense stuff. But you could just start off by just doubling portions on certain things.
Yep.
So
All right. Well, you want to
cool.
wrap it up there?
Yeah, I think that's everything. So if you guys have any questions or feedback or anything at all, please shoot us a DM. If you would
Hmm.
like to leave us a review, we would love that as well. It helps out the podcast. So if you
Unless it's
enjoyed this
4 stars or
episode,
below. And if it's four
yeah,
stars or below, don't worry about it. Don't even
just
sweat it.
yeah, just move on, go to the next
Yeah.
podcast.
But
But
if it is a 5-star review, then yeah, go ahead
But
and
I
hit
guess
that
even
5.
if you do have something feedback to give, you're like,
That's
yeah,
true.
your podcast terrible. Shoot us a DM so we actually can
Yeah,
improve.
I would like that. Yeah, that'd be
And
nice.
shoot us a DM. But we're
Yeah.
always happy to hear from you. Screenshot if you're listening to this episode, send a screenshot and
Oh my
post it
god,
to
if you
your
tagged us in a story
stories
and
and
was like
tag
this
us.
this podcast was great, you know how happy that would make us?
It makes our entire days.
Seriously, we
honestly,
text each other about it.
we
Like
do.
when
We screenshot
yeah,
and we'll send them to each other.
yeah,
Yeah. It makes our whole day when we get the feedback.
it really
So
does.
awesome. Well,
All
everyone
right.
have a great rest of your week and we'll see you on the next episode.
See you guys.